Hello, everybody. Welcome to another stream. The stream of the hanging outness, where we will make the brew of home.
Of the roguish variety.
Just like Mom used to make.
Just like Mom. Good old
Good old
D&D
moonshine.
Your mom's cool.
Just see Rachel just making a bunch of D&D homebrew, find like a secret stash.
Dinner's ready.
Don't look at me.
Oh my gosh. Well, hi everybody.
Hello.
Everybody.
So we are going to be making, wow, this one is way more sinister than I remember. This one's called Tinker Down.
It's perfect for what we're making.
All right.
Yes.
So yeah, before we get into it, just a couple things. We got no major announcements. Main thing is just, if you want to support our content and help us make more of it, then feel free to support us on Patreon. That just gives us the resources to be able to spend more time on making this kind of stuff. You get a bunch of cool things like exclusive Discord access. You can play some games with us over Discord and everything like that. And at the highest tier of Patreon, you get a permanent discount on everything in our merch store.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's all that. Another thing to check out is we have our gaming channel, just D4Tress Gaming on YouTube and Twitch. So if you want to see us do some random stuff on there, feel free to check us out. Andrew and I have been playing through Baldur's Gate 3 because we still haven't beaten it. And we've been playing that new game, Peak. And it's been years since I've laughed so hard.
It's kind of Peak.
That's what it's called, Erica. Duh.
Yes, that is correct. And then, we just stream on there periodically, so if you want to check that out, go ahead. And, of course, the only other thing to get into is all the background music and ambiance you'll be hearing is made by Tabletop Audio. You can just find them at tabletopaudio.com. And for any DMs, this is a really awesome way to level up your campaign. Not a paid sponsor, by the way. In fact, I actually pay him for to be able to use all this stuff. So
I pay him.
You
for me
can
to sponsor.
use it. You can use it for free, but I support him on Patreon. And if you have the means to do so, and you're using these incredible background tracks, then I'd say it's definitely worth checking it out, because you also get a bunch of different versions of the songs when you and the ambiance when you support them on Patreon. Like, I can download certain things without like the just the ambiance or just the music, and so it's really cool. Once again, not a paid sponsor, just something really cool that you shared with the community.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so
Would you mind hitting zoom on the text so I can see it a little better? So just Control Plus.
I was like, what am I doing to zoom?
Yeah,
I was confused. I was like, how do you hit zoom?
So,
I'm
me and
slapping my
Andrew.
screen.
So today we're going to be working on our Saboteur rogue. So me and Andrew tried making this. It looks like all the way back at the end of 2023. So
we basically started dipping into it, but we haven't gone back. But we figured, yeah, let's start making some more subclasses.
yeah, so that's what we're going to be working on today. So basically, the premise is with this rogue subclass, it's all about setting traps, and very much battlefield control. Basically, so rogues get their abilities at 3rd, 9th, 13th, and 17th level, and as you can see from these last three things, we used it by just like we do with our other subclasses, just so we have abilities at the correct levels. is we use the Swashbuckler Rogue as the base template, just so for formatting and having things at the correct levels. But we made a couple things already, which is all just the level 3 stuff.
Well, and everything is subject to change. These are just the base ideas that we created at the time. But also to anyone in chat, if you have anything that you think would be interesting, feel free to chime in too. Participation welcomed.
So
But
the
not
first,
accepted.
Mhm.
so yeah. So the first ability we have here. The first ability we have here that you get at level 3 when you take the subclass is called Prime Trap. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you learn how to create and prime traps to set across the battlefield. As a bonus action, you can prime a trap and set it in a space you can see within 10 feet. So I'm imagining like you're sliding, you can like prime it and slide it across the ground, kind of a thing, or throw it out. So that way it doesn't have to be, you don't have to place it directly below you. And then the space can be currently occupied. You can prime a number of traps equal to twice your proficiency bonus. Unused traps can be recovered at no action cost, so long as you move through the space it was set. If the trap requires a saving throw, the DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your intelligence modifier. To make the trap hidden, you must use your action to make a sleight of hand check, and creatures have to make an investigation check equal to or greater than your check to perceive it. You can decide what trap to prime when you use this ability, and can switch to a different trap if you recover an unused trap. See traps table to see what traps you can set. So the one thing I forgot to include is I feel like I need to clear up some of the wording. Rather than you can prime a number of traps equal to twice your proficiency bonus. Basically, it should just be you have a number of traps equal to twice your proficiency bonus, and regain all expended uses on a long rest. So, do you think having twice your proficiency bonus is a little too much?
It depends on the traps themselves, really. How powerful they are and how useful they are.
Yeah, if it's like an intended use it every round sort of feature or special occasions.
Right.
All right, so just
I do like that we can move it to an occupied space, though. So you can prime it and throw it on somebody.
Yeah, throw it on somebody. So yeah, I'm thinking let's operate with the assumption that you get twice as many as your proficiency bonus, and maybe if it's a really powerful trap, it takes more than one use because it requires more components.
Kind of like trap slots, and that each trap contains a certain slot.
Yeah, or maybe the resource is called components.
Possibly. Well, here's the other thing. Do we want to go under the assumption of this is just a tinkerer dude, no magical kind of a thing, or do we want it to go under
I don't want spell slots at all.
Well, I'm not saying spell slots. I'm saying more the vibe that you get. Like, for instance, the Wells from the Grave, it's intended that it is magical in nature.
Yeah,
kind of a thing.
I'm thinking Saboteur. I'm thinking more Tinkerer. So I'm thinking the Artificer Rogue, pretty much. This is the Artificer Rogue. Think the Spy from Team Fortress when he goes up against the Engineer with the sapping.
Right. So the other question is do they have to do any kind of components, like refill on any components themselves, as like spell component kind of stuff, or is it more like Arcane Trickster, where or more like Arcane Archer Fighter, where it just you get those ability things back on a long rest? It just magically replenishes itself.
You get the abilities back on a long rest. You get them back on the long rest, but flavor-wise, you can put it as like trap components.
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Obviously, player can change it to make it flavor however they want. But I think
Just so
base
that it
idea
makes
of
sense.
magical in nature is a good basis to go off of. As far as replenishing the
Right, just for the
resources.
reusability of it all, so that makes sense. I
Exactly.
can see like bear trap stuff being, reusable. Most traps are gonna need all kinds of components. So adding, just saying like, yeah, there's magical stuff here too. Like, could make it really easy just to be like, yeah, that's how
Okay.
it replenishes after a long rest.
Yeah. I can
Yeah.
totally,
But
I
he's
can
not a
totally see that.
spellcaster.
So yeah, definitely.
He's not a spellcaster, but magical in nature.
Yeah. So basically, we can just put it like, their, so basically do arcane tinkering, is basically what we would.
Most
basically what it
artificers
is,
have
yeah.
an arcane element to their stuff.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
a little flavor, a little
Yeah.
wisp
Just-
of blue.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. How do you feel
That
about
way
that,
they're not
Erica?
having to constantly. It's not like, oh, I have to go buy a spell scroll every long rest if I want to use my abilities.
Yeah. Because it's like, if it's purely engineering, which you totally could do, by default, I could see how that could be a little bit immersion breaking.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think base flavor without any work to reflavor it yourself. Yeah, I'm on board with that. So basically, all right. So let's do so let's reword this a little bit. So let's just call this Arcane Tinker. So we'll rename it to that. And then you can create and prime
Arcane traps.
traps to set across the battlefield.
Like I can see it being compared to like Magic Stone, where it's like, yeah, you have these physical objects that you
Yeah.
can, but like you're
Right.
giving them a slight magical
So-
element to them, so there's shrapnel to go places, or there's
Yep.
it gives them those edge to make your trap special.
And then that way too, it kind of protects players from DMs. They're like, nope, you don't have to go for it, so you can't use that ability.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so you gain a number of arcane components equal to twice your proficiency bonus. You gain a number of arcane components equal to twice your proficiency bonus. You can spend these components to create and prime your Saboteur traps and regain all expended components on a long rest. And then we can just get rid of this sentence right here. Okay, so let me read this from start to finish. Alright, when you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you learn how to create and prime arcane traps to set across the battlefield. You gain a number of arcane components equal to twice your proficiency bonus. You can spend these components to create and prime your Saboteur traps and regain all expended components on a long rest. As a bonus action, you can prime a trap and set it in a space you can see within 10 feet. The space can be currently occupied. Unused traps can be recovered at no action cost so long as you move through the space it was set. If the trap requires a saving throw, the DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your intelligence modifier. To make the trap hidden, you must use your action to make a sleight of hand dexterity check, and creatures have to make an investigation check equal to or greater than your check to perceive it. You can decide what trap to prime when you use this ability and can switch to a different trap if you recover an unused trap. See the traps table to see what traps you can set.
I like that.
Okay, and then let me go like
Sounds
this. Copy that and paste that into there. Okay. So with that, let's go ahead and save that. And now, let's go like this. Actions. Prime trap. Bonus action.
Let's see. Supreme Trap as a bonus action.
I'll rename the ability to Arcane Trap Maker. Or Arcane Trapper. What do you think?
What's is trapper the right word for someone who sets traps?
Well, yes.
Arcane Trapper.
Saboteur.
Arcane Saboteur.
Arcane Sabotage?
Arcane.
Yeah.
Arcane Trap. Trapifier. Just kidding.
Pitifier.
Let me just make sure the limited use. 2 times proficiency bonus. Okay, perfect. Arcane Trap Tinkering.
Yeah, that works for now.
Actually, let's do Arcane Trap Making. And then we can do add on another ability that gives you proficiency in like Tinker's Tools and stuff.
Yeah, imagine like higher levels, you can tinker the traps to make them have different or heightened abilities,
Okay.
like almost upcasting.
Right.
That could be like the tinkering aspect coming into play.
Yeah. Okay. So we got that. All right, let's see. And then we have the in position. Okay. In position. When you deal sneak attack damage to a creature that is large or smaller, you can force it to move 5 feet in any direction you choose. This increases 10 feet at level 9 and 15 feet at level 17. So this is so you can push things into your traps. And like chain traps together and stuff and everything. So, do you think this needs to be
Reworked it all.
reworked?
I still like it, personally.
Yeah, I think this is
I think it makes a lot of sense.
The one question is do they get any kind of saves against it?
no, because they're already making a save against the trap. And you already have to do sneak attack
And
damage.
you have to do sneak attack damage.
Yeah.
Dude, they already got 2 things to be able to avoid it.
Yeah.
If they don't get hit, if they don't get sneak attack on the head, and then also the DC of the trap itself. Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to add another one.
Okay, so yeah, we can just leave that as is. One other thing I want to add. Let's also, one other thing that we can do is... Okay. Going back to Arcane Track, going back to the trap making, I want to give them proficiency in Tinker's Tools.
And then also, especially where the base traps as is are already, they're not like that powerful, like a hunter trap, things like that. I think it would be good to include in there if you use base traps. Well,
No, because
No.
I think that should be a higher level ability, just a minor
Higher
level
level.
ability. Yeah,
yeah, just like a level 9.
because
just like
this one thing is pretty
it's already crazy. Yeah,
already crazy. Yeah. Okay.
just like a nice little thing. Maybe not as a standalone, just a nice to have.
Yeah. Level scaling. Okay. Add a modifier. It is proficiency in
Tinker's Tools.
a talking.
Yes.
What the crap is a talking? Okay, I need to know. It's gonna bug me. Oh, it's like a little heart.
Nice. I think.
There's so many.
There's so many different things.
What's a talking? What is it?
What's a talking?
Gavin. Gavin is.
Okay. So yeah, so I like that. There we go. So you get proficiency in that if you don't already have it. Beautiful. Okay. So this is the trap list that you get. So yeah, so basically okay, so here is the traps, and we can just go like this. Saboteur traps. Okay. So when you use your arcane trap maker ability, choose which type of trap choose which type of trap use from the following. So we've got snaring trap. When a creature activates this trap by stepping on it, tendrils of wire shoot out to attempt to wrap around it. If the creature is large or smaller and must succeed on a dexterity saving throw, gets a trap save DC or be restrained. They remain restrained until they can succeed on we could just put a strength check against a trap save DC, which they can take at the end of each of their turns. Alright, so how many components do you think the snaring trap would do to be able to restrain something?
Should it be strength or athletics?
Most escape DCs are just a strength check.
And then of each of their turns.
So
you have to sacrifice an action for it.
Yeah, and it does, and it is restrained, which
that does give you advantage on the hit.
Yeah. So do you think it should be restrained, or do you think it should be restrained or just grappled?
Grapple just reduces their movement.
Maybe at a higher level, you can spend more components to make it restrained.
True. If we're talking about like what Sean was saying, being able to upcast your traps, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Are you saying something, Sean?
Very quietly.
Oh,
not to
okay.
be heard.
Okay.
To myself,
I saw your
thinking
mouth
out
moving, and I'm
loud,
just
but-
like, oh no.
Yeah.
I kept deafening myself on Discord the other day by hitting random keys. And I want to make sure I wasn't doing that on Zoom too.
Yeah.
Alright.
Getting
So
inspiration.
okay. So yeah, so let's make it or be grappled. So basically you
Oh no, he's been grappled!
He's grappled. Or be grappled. They remain grappled. There. Then let's see. The
Wait,
other one.
Really quick. Okay, never mind. We're good. I read the second half of the sentence and realized my point was mute.
Okay. And then
One component.
yep, one component. All right. Next, This one, I feel like we should change because it's more status. I feel like it should be more status affecting. And looking at it now, once again, this was us almost 2 years ago, before we played as much D&D, and this one would be ridiculously overpowered, which is Shrapnel Trap. When a creature activates this trap by stepping on it, the trap explodes into a spray of shrapnel and debris. The creature and all other creatures within a 5-foot radius must succeed a dexterity saving throw, or take 2d8 piercing damage plus your sneak attack die, or half as much on a successful save. That's really, really strong. With your sneak attack die, that's a fireball.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's definitely a higher level one, level 5 or something.
yeah, so I'm thinking rather than doing that, into shrapnel, must succeed a dexterity saving throw, or start bleeding. At the start of each at the start of their turn, they take 1d4 piercing damage. They take 1d at the start of each of start bleeding for 1 minute. There we go. At the start of each of their turns, they take a 1d4 piercing damage. 1d4 piercing damage. 1d4 piercing damage unless they can succeed a Constitution saving throw against your trap DC.
You know what they should do? This effect can stack depending on how many for each shrapnel trap you used on them, each failed. So then 1d4, 2d4, 3d4.
I'm down for that. I'm down for that.
I mean, that would give you the reason to use it over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Against your Saboteur.
Compound interest.
Yeah. Unless they concede a Constitution saving throw against your Saboteur DC. At the end of their turn, they can repeat this save at the end of each of their turns. Subsequent failures against the shrapnel trap add on an extra 1d4 of piercing damage at the start of each of their turns.
The wording like that makes it sound like you're talking about the failing the DC at the end of their turn. Also, I don't know if I love the adding another DC for that one.
Making a con save for it?
Well, do a con save, or what if they have to use an action to staunch it?
Stop bleeding, and then they stick their finger in it? No. You've already got one trap that wastes their action. The con save against effects like this is really
we don't
common.
have a trap that wastes their action.
Yes, we do. They're grappled, which means they're essentially out of the fight unless they use their action to escape it.
Which they can take at the end of each of their turns.
Oh yeah, but either way, yeah, having a con save to stop bleeding is very common. That's how you end it. If there's no way to end the bleeding effect, you want.
Then I think it should do more damage. Then
I disagree. A minute, if you're able to, either more damage or it doesn't stack, one or the other. Otherwise, that is stupidly strong, because it's also going to restart the timer. It's also going to restart the timer if you throw another one on there, and Imagine that's a free. If they fail the con save, that is a free 10d4 damage. If they fail their con save, so it does more damage. The thing is we want a status effect, because creatures affected by your traps, you get sneak attack on. This isn't your main damage source. This is a status effect to apply. So now that you can inflict with your bonus action, so you can use your action to hit them and get sneak attack.
It's just in order for it to work, they have to fail already like 3 times.
No. Because if they fail the dex save, they have it.
Well, there's a dex save, and then there's a con save, and then they gotta make another dex save, and then they do a con save every single time. The chances of you actually being able to pull it off are slim to none.
Yeah. Well, welcome to D&D. It's the same exact thing if you cast a spell over and over. That's how it works when you roll dice.
I'm not fond of it. I think it either needs to go up to a D6 or modify something in some way.
No, spells that do this kind of damage over time work the exact same way. Magic spells that do this work the exact same way. Feel it. I mean, take let's see, let me see. Because a lot of spells that you add on the effect, and then they get to make their save at the end of each of their turns. And you can't stack those effects.
Actually, I just had an idea. A way I could solve what I was talking about. Have the shrapnel be a thing where it does an initial, if they fail the dex save, it does an initial damage, and then there's a bleeding effect. Kind of like how my fire shackles, there's an initial fire damage, and then if they fail, then it's like, all right, cool. Now there's also the burn that does it over time. So there is an initial thing where, like, hey, getting hit by it hurts. It doesn't have to be crazy damage, but then the bleed is its own thing, separate.
Okay. So, well, the reason why I don't know if I like that is, once again, you're doing this with your bonus action. And you're able to do this once a turn with your bonus action. And if you just spam this one, if you could do 2d8 damage with your bonus action every single turn. Yeah, something like that.
You know, that's too much. I was just thinking like 1d6. It does 1d6 damage, and then 1d4 at the start of each of their turns. So if they fail the dex save, they'll still have a negative effect on them because you're using one of your things for it.
Well, yeah. Okay, yeah, I see that. So if they succeed the dex save, you still get something out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
So just an initial.
Must succeed a dexterity saving throw or take 1d6
piercing damage.
Piercing. Okay, I see what you were going for, because I was like, I see what you're trying to communicate, because before you were making this.
I don't want crazy damage. I just want something.
Yeah.
If they're gonna be making multiple saves, I want some kind of.
You get something out of it, even if they succeed.
I get something.
Yeah, damage. 1d6 piercing damage, and start bleeding for 1 minute, and then subsequent failures against the subsequent failure. There we go. Failures against subsequent shrapnel traps will add on an extra 1d4 piercing damage at the start of each of their turns.
And reset the minute.
Resets the bleed. Resets the duration of the bleed. On a successful save.
Of what? The con save or the
on a successful save against the initial initial explosion. On a successful save against the initial explosion, creatures take the 1d6 piercing damage only. Succeeding on save at the end of their turn will remove 1d4. Remove 1d4 damage from the bleeding effect, ending the effect when there are no damage die remaining. Okay. Shrapnel trap. When the creature activates the trap by stepping on it, the trap explodes into a spray of shrapnel and debris. The creature and all other creatures within a 5-foot radius must succeed a dexterity saving throw, or take 1d6 piercing damage and start bleeding for 1 minute. At the start of each of their turns, they here we'll go like this. Bleeding creatures take 1d4 piercing damage
at the start of each of their turns.
Damage at the start of each of their turns. Unless they can succeed a Constitution saving throw against your Saboteur DC at the end of their turn. Let's go like this. There it is. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Players against us against shrapnel traps.
Okay, so bleeding creatures can make a Constitution saving throw at the end of each of their turns. And at the end of each of their turns, to remove
one stack of
one
D4
of bleeding damage from them, ending the bleeding effect when no more damage die remain. Okay, there we go. Alright, so when a creature activates its trap by stepping on it, the trap explodes into a spray of shrapnel and debris. The creature and all other creatures within a 5-foot radius must succeed a dexterity saving throw or take 1d6 piercing damage and start bleeding for 1 minute. Bleeding creatures take 1d4 piercing damage at the start of each of their turns. Failures against subsequent shrapnel traps will add on an extra 1d4 piercing damage at the start of each of their turns and resets the duration of the bleed. On a successful save against the initial explosion, the creature takes a 1d6 piercing damage only. Bleeding creatures can make a Constitution saving throw at the end of each of their turns to remove 1d4 of bleeding damage from them, ending the bleeding effect when no more damage die remain. How's that sound?
I like that.
Okay, and then one opponent
At least for now.
Yep. Okay. The next one we had is Spring Trap. When a creature activates this trap by stepping on it, they must make a dexterity saving throw or a spring-loaded platform to launch them upwards a number of feet equal to 5 times the amount of sneak attack dice you have. The creature will incur fall damage and land prone. It also move 5 feet horizontally. Roll a d8 to determine which direction. So let's take a look at the...
What is this sneak attack? I'm gonna go run to the restroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. Number of feet equal to 5 times the amount of sneak attack die. So yeah, first and second level, they only go 5 feet up. Third and fourth level, 10 feet. And then by level 20, you get to launch them 50 feet into the air. That... Okay, at first I was like, that seems like a lot. But then I was like, nah, 50 feet at level 20? Yeah, that's more funny.
The rest
than
of your
anything.
party mates are gods. I feel like you should have a bounce screen.
Yeah, because I was like that. Well, it was also because I was reading the numbers wrong. I was thinking like, wait, 5 times 6 at level 1, you can launch them 30 feet in the air. Like, no. But the main thing is knocking them prone, but you get the extra fall damage on top of that.
Yeah.
I think I like this one as is. Just knock things prone, and then add on fall damage as you get to higher levels. And since they're technically prone, even creatures with a fly speed, if they're not hovering, then they will fall as well.
Right. That's true. Then you get your guaranteed sneak attack.
Yep. Because
'Cause
once
there are,
again,
like,
you use your bonus action to launch them up when they're prone, then you can go in with your action and get the
Because there's also like other traps that have a similar thing, like the grease from Baldur's Gate or whatever, similar to the tar trap from World of Warcraft.
yeah.
You know, like this little bit like of something that makes people go prone or restrains their movement, but like this one's more of a single target, which might be good for a bonus action scenario. Yeah, I think that one can work.
Okay.
Be interesting.
And then the other one is just poison gas trap. When this trap is activated, all creatures within 5 feet of the trap must make a Constitution saving throw or be poisoned for 1 minute. They can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of their turns. Very simple, very standard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does that
Pretty
one be
simple.
worth 1 component as well?
Yeah. Like, is it? It's a poison damage one, or is it like the poison where it
just the
affects
poison.
their
Poison condition. So
poison
the
condition?
disadvantage on the
Okay. Yeah.
attack rolls and ability checks.
No, that would work.
Okay, so 1 component. So I
Yeah.
feel like for level 3, that is really good, and then we can add on more traps at the higher levels, and then also go over like if certain things can be upcast, certain traps that can be upgraded.
Yeah.
Okay, what I missed?
definitely.
Okay.
Like at level
Everything.
5,
The
all your
last
traps have
the
a
last 2
second-
traps did not need to be changed at all. They're great as is. When
I was going to ask one thing about the spring trap. I was reading it.
yeah,
We should we have it round up or round down? Because
it doesn't need to.
oh, duh, because it's 5 times. You
Yeah.
times it by 5.
Yeah, it doesn't need
Yeah.
to. Yeah, not a number of feet, and 5 times. So
Yeah.
at level 3, when you first get it, they'll go 10 feet in the air. At level 20, they'll go 50 feet in the air.
Right.
That'd be really funny to see.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's
Just-
what 10d6.
10d6, yep. At level 20.
Yep. Yeah, I'm fine with that. At 50 feet, I think that's hilarious.
Okay. And then the other one was just poison gas, the con save, and then poison for a minute if you fail, which you can repeat at the end of each of your turns. So, yep. All right, so there we go.
You gotta change the, you gotta fix the spelling of the poison one.
Fix the spelling. Component.
And then, so all of these are 1. Do we want to have, like, a sleep trap?
No. Well, at least not yet. I feel like this is good to get you started.
Right.
And then when you get your next feature at level 5 or at level 9 is when you get more and more traps.
Yeah, more traps, and then
you can upcast these traps. Yeah. Alrighty, and then want to go in and add another thing that you get at level 3. Saboteurs, ambush, and
oh yeah, anything affected by your trap, you can get sneak attack damage on.
To effectively strike victims of well-crafted traps.
It wouldn't work on the dude who's prone.
Yeah, it would.
But you already get advantage on him, so
yeah.
You already automatically get it.
Sneak attack.
Poisoned.
Against...
It is only disadvantage to the person who has it, right?
Yeah.
No one gets advantage against a poisoned person.
Yep.
Okay.
Unless it's a special poison that states otherwise, but
right.
By default, no. You gain sneak attack against creatures suffering from at least one effect from your premise. There we go.
Yeah, I like that.
Granted. 3. Here we go. Okay. And then display order. Want this one to be that's number 1. This one we want to be number 2. Then we want the
Right, we got
This one to
4
be
things
number-
for level 3 now.
3. Yep, and that is all we need for level 3.
Yep. So for level 9, we could do upgraded traps and then give them the ability to use their DC instead of the set DC when using regular traps.
Yeah. And display order. Want this one to be number 4. Save. Okay. Alrighty. And now the level 9 ability. So the first one want to do is let's do the improved traps first. Ooh.
So from like D&D traps.
No. Like your
Traps.
Saboteur traps. Yeah. I want to go like this.
So here's a question: do we want them to be able to upcast at level 9, or just get more traps at level 9 and then upcast at 15?
Most people don't go up to 15. Give them the chance to upcast at
Or
level
13,
9.
I mean.
Yeah. Most of them don't go up to 13. Give them the ability to upcast those traps.
All right, so if that's the case, then what are we? Because we got to be kind of game planning it a little bit. What kinds of things are we thinking for 13 and 17?
More traps and upcast it even more.
What do you think, Sean?
And upcasting those things.
Like you can add additional properties, like you can stick it to any surface, like a shield. You can, like,
Oh yeah,
Maybe
teleport it to a spot, like a misty step it into a location.
Yeah.
Like there could be like some extra, not just specifically the trap, but maybe the like ways to use traps or ways to
maybe you
manipulate
can.
things.
Maybe at level 13,
For
range of throwing it.
You can at level 13, you can make it so your allies are immune to your traps. So it's like if they're in that 5-foot radius of the shrapnel, they don't get hit by it.
well, like
You
that.
get the smart traps.
Yeah, and there's a lot of really cool additional traps. You know, I'm like thinking of Baldur's Gate. I mean, one of our traps is already like that spiky ball thing from the Nautiloids, from the Mind Flayers. It has that explosion, AoE bleed. There's also the impulse grenade that pulls everything to the center, which would be good for getting them onto your traps. You know, like
So,
little abilities
Just have them in there, and then everything
you
within
can
20
throw
foot.
in almost like a little grenade, but of a different variety. That's also like survival hunters. They use a lot of stuff like that.
You can do stuff like a smoke bomb, a concussive grenade, a
So many.
blinding one, like a flash one.
Yeah, like I was thinking, like there's
condition.
potential in like with blinding or with like some sort of fear or something that would kind of either force movement or negate their ability to perceive traps. But there's a lot of little quirks or ability or features that you could add to greater increase your flexibility and like your play style. Instead of just
the repertoire.
what do I throw, it's more like what else can I do but throw something there. Or
Right.
build something here, like adding a little.
I
bit of
really like the
variety.
idea of one that lets you pull everything in.
Like that would seem kind of fun. That would fit the arcane theme. That would be fun. The Saboteur.
Well,
And it's
And what you could do is if you did do that one as an action, pull them all in to a spot, and then they're all close, and then I'm gonna throw a shrapnel grenade now.
But if it's a bunch of small creatures too, so they can kind of share space
Yeah, exactly.
at that moment. That'd be crazy. Arcane pitfall trap, which creates almost like the
Pocket
rope
dimension.
trick. You know, makes a little pocket dimension. They just like fall into the ground for a bit inside this little parallel reality. This hole of holding.
Yeah, exactly.
A little more goofy, but I mean that sounds fun too.
Also, another question about the spring trap, because it says you can launch them upwards of 50 feet.
At level 20.
I know.
But yeah.
What if they're in a room and you launch them into a 10-foot ceiling?
That'd be fun.
That would be kind of up to the DM because they might go through the ceiling, might depend on the room. How I would do it is if they go and hit the ceiling at the speed of going 50 feet up, I'd have them take 50 feet of fall damage for smacking the ceiling personally.
Right.
If it's like a concrete ceiling, but that would be something that the DM
You
would
let the
do
DM
depending.
decide.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, like
I
all
mean,
my
they
dungeons
would
have spikes in the
100% go
ceilings,
prone.
So
Right.
it's very different. Hmm.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of leaning more into the creative traps and creative uses for traps.
Yeah, rather than just doing damage and stuff. Because if you're a rogue, you're damage. You're not hurting for the damage. The
Right, 'cause
main
you
thing
can
you
already
want as
get
a
your sneak
rogue
attack.
is utility and things to you and ways to get sneak attack. Yeah, when using standard traps such as hunting traps, ball bearings, etc. Not ball bearings.
Mhm.
Etc.
Hmm.
You can use your save
My Dave's
DC.
DC.
Your Saboteur
Let's see.
Dave DC. You can use your Saboteur save DC.
Hi,
My
I'm
dude's
Dave.
not good enough.
Rather than set these equipment, and you
Because
can
then they
spend
could go in
a
and
bonus action. You can spend a bonus
Oh, yeah.
action to impose disadvantage on the saving against. There.
or you can either do that or they can use a bonus action to set up the trap too.
Oh yeah, because it's an action normally.
It's an action. So rather than
You
impose
can-
disadvantage, just yeah.
Yeah. That
can-
these traps using a bonus action. So that's your little neat one.
Yeah.
The reason why I swapped over to make this is because it wasn't letting me. I wanted to replace the trap list thing with the upgraded trap list,
Yeah.
and it wasn't letting me change this to replacement. Okay,
So it will
now
work like
maybe it will let me do it. Advanced trap. Not letting me change it to replacement.
Is it because you edited one? Maybe if you add a blank one, will it let you? Because you edited, so. Let's see. Because you edited a pre-existing thing that was there. What if you just add a new? Go back.
And then delete that, and then delete it.
To add a class feature,
And-
rather than editing the panache,
Yeah, and then delete that. Yeah,
if it will let you.
yeah.
I would test it out first.
Advanced traps. And let's just go like this because I got to copy and paste. Required class level 9. Display order 5. Feature type replacement. Class features to replace is Saboteur traps.
Yep, there you go.
Advanced Saboteur traps.
And yeah,
You
that
just go
that
like
should work
this
now.
and copy that. Then go like this. Delete that. Okay, advanced saboteur traps. Paste. Okay. So, first things first. Let's go like this. And starting at level 9. Actually, instead of replacing it, maybe we could just go into the base thing. And maybe we could just go into the base thing and just add on just a full new list. I don't know. I don't know what the best way to format it, because I feel like if we do it this way, it will clear off a lot of clutter. If we do the replacement.
Basically, once you get to level 9, it will give you this and then replace.
It will replace the other.
So the other one will disappear. You'll still see this, just with extra text.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with the replacement.
Okay. Because I feel like it will clear up a lot of clutter. Yeah, starting at level 9. This is a snare trap. You can spend... in order to upgrade it to restrained, should we...
2 components.
An extra 2 components total, or an extra 2?
2 total.
You can spend 1 extra component to restrain the target rather than grapple. Yeah, a shrapnel trap, and then starting.
And the nice thing is, if you have them restrained or grappled,
9.
then you do the dex save. They're gonna be way worse at it.
Yeah, starting at level 9, can spend extra components to increase the initial damage the explosion, and on extra piece you can add let's see, there's take an extra 1d6 piercing damage for every component you use. So
what about the bleed? Should it make the bleed more severe?
No, it doesn't make the bleed better, but you have to remember, even if they succeed, they take the full damage of the initial explosion. So the bleed stays the same, but if you do that, that is an unavoidable 3d6 piercing damage.
Yeah.
Even if they succeed. So explosion, there we go. Spring trap. I don't feel like there's really a way to upcast the spring trap.
Nah.
Or the poison gas one. Those are kind of just...
Maybe...
The spring trap can now be altered in direction. Shoot him sideways at a wall or off a cliff. Would be funny.
Oh yeah, you can upcast. You can upcast to choose the direction.
I like
Change the
that.
direction. That's what I'd use it a lot that way.
Yeah.
Starting at
I mean, you can even use
9.
that to throw them into another trap.
Yeah. You can spend... Should it be 2 or 3 to do that?
I'm fine with just 2. Because, like, if it costs too much, it's like... Yeah, it's neat, but then you don't get to synchronize it. So level 9, you have what? 3 proficiency bonus? No, you have 4, which means you have 8 uses.
Yeah, then I'd say that's fair, having it be 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 is
I
fine.
think 2 is fair.
If they impact a surface before moving the full distance. They take damage as if they take bludgeoning damage. Yeah, they take bludgeoning damage as if they had fallen the distance they were moved. So if you launch them into a wall 30 feet away, they still take 30 feet of damage. But if they don't impact anything, then they just fall prone.
Yeah.
Because that would be funny. Could you imagine just going and then a freaking springboard just smacks you in the face and just kill him?
Dude, it's like the freaking things from Sonic.
Boing.
That'd be so funny. Yeah, you're kind of just sitting there in a room expecting someone to sneak in. You just hear it and someone's up against the wall dead. You didn't have to move a muscle. Someone walks in.
That would be so fun.
Funny scenes. Where it pushes them right to you, and you're like, "Oh, hi."
It reminds me of that video where the guy opens the door and they have that confetti cannon. He just gets blasted away.
Oh.
Right. I just realized a question about one of the level 3 abilities. We added for placing the traps that we can make a sleight of hand versus their intelligence. Does that require an action, or does it just happen to try and stealthily place it?
You have to make a sleight of hand check, which is an
I know.
action, but...
So okay. So if you try to do it in combat, it counts as an action. Okay, cool.
I don't see it on there. I saw someone where he gets the confetti cannon and it's the like the Persona 6 song is like, didn't see it coming. It's just that, and then that same video with he is Dragonborn. Fusrota!
Oh yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah.
I just realized if you decide to use, like, say you're in like a life or death situation, if you use the that shrapnel one at that level, at level 9, if you use all of your components, you can do 8d6.
Wow.
8d6 on the initial explosion, which is basically a cast of fireball. But then you can't do anything till you get a long rest.
Yep.
Starting,
I like that.
Starting at level 9, you can spend...
I'd also use the spring trap just for normal things. Like, I need to get up that ledge and launch myself up.
Right.
That'd be fun.
Would be fun and resourceful.
It's a very stat-appropriate tool. You probably made a bunch of them now.
And then for the poison gas trap, starting at level 9, you can spend an extra component, total of 2, to inflict 1d6 poison damage to poison creatures at the start of each of their turns until they end the poison condition.
If you do that, then the shrapnel one isn't really worth it at all.
Once again, yes it is, guaranteed damage on the initial explosion. And, you know...
You could also make just the poison cloud bigger.
Could. Because the thing is, you have to remember, Andrew, level 9, how many things are immune to poison?
21?
So many things.
Yeah, that's why it...
Way too many things.
Yeah, so that's why it's doing that, because in a vacuum, yeah, I could see your point, but in the terms of D&D, when so many things resist or are straight up immune to poison,
right? That's fair.
But use this on a bunch of little dudes, then.
The other thing that should happen for each of these is the distance that you can create the trap. Because at level 3, it's only within 10 feet. Should we increase it to 15 feet and then 20 feet and then...
I would say no because because the distance that you can move creatures around with your sneak attack increases.
Right. The only reason why I say that, though, is if we want to do anything about increasing the radius of the traps at all, you have to be able to throw it from further away.
I don't want to increase the radius. Because if it was an action, yeah, I would. But as a bonus
It
action,
is a
I don't want
bonus
to.
action.
I don't want to
Yeah.
increase the radius at all.
As a bonus action. Yeah, let's leave it as that for now.
Okay, so now that we got that, so this is level 9. Now we can start doing. Some completely new traps.
Yeah.
Well, there's always the option of the smoke one,
Yeah, like a fog cloud trap.
the fog cloud trap.
I like that. How many
There's like
components
a-
would it do? 1 or 2?
Depends on how big we want to make it.
Maybe a 10-foot radius centered on the spot?
It's a pretty good size, yeah.
Does it grow at all, or is it just an initial and then it's just there and it stays there?
Initial, that stays there. Having it grow over time is just a pain to run in the game.
So,
Should we do 10 foot or should we do 20 foot? Because you could get up to some fun shenanigans with that. Because this is one that could be used outside of combat as well.
Yeah, but the thing is there's no way to see through it yourself too, so it's a little bit. And then at level 13, maybe when we say you can shoot, when something sets off your traps, when you do get your smart trap ability, and when you get your smart trap ability, maybe then you'll be able to see through it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, that is pretty overpowered.
Heavily obscured.
Yeah,
What is the benefits of heavily obscured?
you can't be targeted.
Oh, you just can't be targeted?
Pretty much.
Is that like the official thing? Heavily obscured.
Yeah, they basically heavily obscured areas such as darkness, opaque fog, or dense foliage blocks vision entirely. A creature effectively suffers from the blinded condition when trying to see something in that area. The presence or absence of light in an environment creates 3 categories of illumination: bright light, dim light, and darkness. So it's
just a disadvantage if you're attacking.
yeah. It's I forgot. I was going off of Baldur's Gate 3 logic.
Yeah, I mean,
But
personally, I since it's not doing damage or anything, it's just a fun little visual thing you can do. I think 20 foot allows for a little bit more maneuverability and fun roleplay scenarios.
okay. I would say let's forego the ability to see through it, though, just so there's that little bit extra thing. Because being able to see through it, I mean, there's literally entire builds dedicated to it. A warlock with darkness, and then with the ability to
Level
see in
sight,
darkness, in magical darkness, is like something that you would dedicate a whole build to. I don't think you should
And
just be able
can't
to do
you-
that for free.
Can't you take? Isn't there like a feat that lets you take one of those warlock stuff?
Exactly,
could tech-
exactly. But
you
but
could
it's an
tech Devil's
entire
Sight if you
feat
wanna
to
go
do
that
that.
route.
Yeah, Devil's Sight.
Yeah, so you could take a feat if you wanted to do that.
Yeah, to be your playstyle.
But yeah, let's go one component.
But yeah, I'm like, you could just like, oh, I'm gonna set it off in a marketplace. But if it's only a 10-foot thing, you're not getting out of that unnoticed, you know?
Well, it'd be 25 total. Could be 10 feet radius.
10-foot
Yeah.
radius.
So you'd be in a 5 foot, 10 feet out both ways. So it'd be 25 in diameter.
Right.
And so with yours, it's a 45-foot ball.
Right, because I thought we were talking diameter. If
No,
we're
I
talking
always go ra-
radius, Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons always uses radius. Always.
what if we just did 15 then? Met in the middle.
30. So yeah,
That's
so
A 30-foot
sphere
sphere.
emanates.
Yeah, 30-foot. 15-foot radius. 30-foot sphere. Well, no, you can still see through with blind sight, tremor sense, true sight. I don't think we need
Yeah.
to include that.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. Like, wait, yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, it's just heavily obscured. It's
I-
just
'cause
it's
I-
just a smoke bomb, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Anything inside the smoke is heavily obscured.
This fog.
Or smoke is heavy obscured. Yeah, no.
No, I think what you had before.
Yeah, everything inside the smoke is heavily obscured.
This can be, the smoke can be cleared with moderate to heavy wind. So anyone with a gust of wind spell can knock it out.
Right, when this trap is activated, a thick cloud of smoke emanates from the trap in a 15-foot radius sphere. Everything inside the smoke is heavily obscured. The smoke can be cleared with moderate to heavy wind, such as that gust spell. And the trap can be activated remotely. The trap can be activated remotely as long as you are within 30 feet of it without the need of a creature step.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Alrighty. So we got a smoke bomb. I want at least 3 in total. So we got 1.
And the first ones that came to mind for me was like basically either using the grease spell or a tar trap. You know, either for a area prone or
Difficult
you know,
terrain.
difficult terrain with a chance of prone. Difficult terrain. So there's some. Those are also utility based. But we could also include something kind of like Glyph Warding, where you do an elemental based trap, which just simply does damage of an elemental type if you're choosing, kind of like the Witch Bolt or something.
Yeah, it just does your sneak. Since
It
so
could
it can
be
level up,
just
it does your
A
sneak attack
simple
die of damage.
damaging. Like a simple damaging trap.
Yeah. Which at
Was it
this
optional?
level, it would be 5d6. So yeah, I like that. 2 components for just an elemental trap. All right, I like both of those. Let's do the difficult terrain one first. So what would it be? Just tar trap.
Well, the tar will make them just slow them down. Do we want to add a chance of being prone or no?
If you upcast it, I think yeah.
You know, as a DM, I could see it being like if they don't notice the trap as soon as they enter, like upon entering, they have a chance going prone. Then they have to make a saving throw of getting up from prone. But like that's a
Right.
whole bunch of like mechanics and things they don't want to
It's
necessarily
fun to add
include
additional stuff, right?
into the description. Yeah, there's just too many scenarios, but like I could tar trap could well it definitely have the capacity
Or-
of prone.
You just call it sticky trap.
Yeah.
Tar / slick trap. So you can do one, and then you can spend an extra component to make it both effects. How about that? So it's like
Slippery tar.
when
Sticky and slippery.
So when this trap is activated, it coats every surface. How big should the area be?
Or 10-foot radius.
10-foot radius, so 20 feet across. That seems fair to me. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah.
What are you working on, Erica? Are you working on just out of curiosity.
A lot. I was thinking of doing something simple, but I've had a lot of time. I'll send you a picture of what I have so far.
Okay. Are you
Just
working
math
on
homework.
like the Saboteur Rogue artwork?
Yes.
Because I
Yes.
think my
Awesome.
personal favorite, I love your College of Monsters Bard one.
So, what I looked back on the notes I actually made, and you said you wanted a goblin setting a trap.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I ran with that. I hit the ground running.
All right.
And I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. Oh wait, I'm the boots. Yeah, there we go. A lot of my time has been spent looking up what bear traps look like, so
Yeah.
perspective is difficult.
Yeah, and then sticky liquid turns the covered surface into difficult terrain, and slick liquid forces creatures to make a dexterity saving throw when they first enter the area or start their turn the area or become prone.
I love him.
You can spend an extra component, total of 2.
He's so serious.
I would say give the trap almost like a magical aura to it, like a.
Mm-hmm. That'll have to be added
Vapor.
after I'm finished.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
No, I kind of want to see you do it now. So
Dang
You're
it!
fired.
You
Erica,
fired
if you add the
me.
magical effect, we'll let you eat today.
I can't.
don't do it. Eating's not worth it.
You can spend an extra component total of 2 to make
She's not worth it.
both sticky and slip for these at once. There we go. And then blast trap. This one should be 2 by default. Do you think?
Well, how much damage is it doing?
Your sneak attack damage. So at this point, 5d6.
I think it should be like 4 components for that, like 3 or 4.
More already
At least
half of your
3.
entire reservoir for it.
At least 3.
I would say 3.
Well, is it using it on one person?
No, it's an explosion.
Because yeah, it definitely has to be expensive. If it's gonna be an explosion that hurts several people, it's gotta do. If it's gonna be hitting multiple, I'd say minimum 4. If it's one person, then 3. Because that is only going to get stronger.
Yes. What is the total proficiency bonus?
You can have 12. It's 6 is the high.
6 is the
max.
Is your
Which means a
max.
total of 12.
Total of 12. That's at level 18 though. I'm thinking 3 is good. Because even at level 9, even at level 9, because you have to think you're getting +6.
Well, here's the logic against that. Because if you have 12 and it only costs 3 to do it, say there's a perfect conditions, I have a bunch of people around me, I am at level 18 doing 10d6 of this damage to everyone in that area while also being able to get my regular sneak attack off as an action on that turn. That is way overpowered. That is significantly overpowered.
But at that same level, a wizard could wish for literally anything.
Yeah, but compared to every other rogue, that's like the Wells from the Grave.
That is
was
true.
Already insane being able to do 15d6, but being able to do 10d6 to a maximum of 9. So that's maximum damage you could do is 90d6 plus another 10, so 100d6 every turn for 4 turns in a row.
Let's make it 5 components.
And
400. Yeah, that's 400 d6.
that sounds
in 4 turns.
fun.
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah. Okay. Let's make it 5 components.
I was gonna say either 5 components or make it target one person, because most of the stuff we've been doing have been AOE. I say we just make it target one person.
Okay. If we target one person, then I'm okay with it being 3.
Yeah.
I could still argue for 4, just because you're getting a full sneak attack on them, but I'm okay with.
But once again, level 20, only being able to do it 4 times without being able to do any of your other things.
Right.
I'd say at level 20, that's perfectly fine.
I'm okay with 3.
Okay.
I'm okay
so
with 3.
what should we call it then? Just elemental trap?
Elemental zap, elemental trap.
Which trap?
Here's the other question: is it going to be?
I'm thinking deck save.
Yeah, definitely deck save. But should it do? The question is should it do half damage on a success?
Yes.
So that way it always does damage.
It's that expensive,
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yep.
And I would definitely say no upcasting with this one.
Yeah, this one just is.
And
then, sorry I didn't respond first. Hi, Lycan Dragon. Welcome to the chat.
Greetings.
And then the other thing is damage types.
Do we want to do the base elements, or do you want to do like the more roguish ones, like acid, necrotic, like having?
I feel like having a bunch of different things, because you should be able to do it. So I'm thinking just like the base elements. So probably nothing crazy. None of the obscure ones like necrotic, radiant, psychic, but the basic elemental ones. So no force, no psychic, no necrotic, no radiant, but we could do fire, thunder, lightning,
Cold.
Yeah, cold. That stuff.
And do you think acid would be a part of that one too?
Yes, acid would be a part of it. So,
And then also you have to decide when you put down the trap. You can't change your mind.
Yeah.
So then that way, if like say, oh, I'm gonna set up this trap, I put down lightning, and then another player figures out that the lightning doesn't hurt him, you can't be like, oh, it's always been acid.
Oh yeah, no. But you can pick up the trap at no action cost and replace it as a different element.
Correct.
You just have to move through its spot. Yeah. Also, the sticky / slick strap can I'm making it so it can be, this trap can be activated remotely as long as you are within 30 feet. Is a reaction. Yeah, the remote detonations should use your reaction to do so.
Yeah. I agree. As a reaction.
So, elemental trap. Oh my gosh, it's literally doing... Why is it doing either or? It's doing that again. Hate it.
That's a buff.
When this trap is activated... it must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take damage equal to your sneak attack damage. Or take damage equal to your... Or take what's the best way to word this? Or take damage equal to your sneak attack damage, or...
Equal to your sneak attack dice.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's called, your sneak attack dice.
Die. Equal to your sneak attack die. Or half as much on a successful save. Damage. When you place trap, choose one of the following damage types. So fire, lightning, acid, cold, thunder. Fire, lightning, acid, cold, thunder.
Emotional.
It's psychic.
Specifically emotional, though.
Psychic.
It just shouts out an insult at you. It goes off.
Emotional damage.
No, when they step on it, it just turns into a weight scale.
What is is it just those 5, or I feel like I'm missing
Fire, lightning,
one?
acid, cold, thunder. Let me do this. Give me a sec. The way that you can tell is if I just go to the Drake Warden and look at the fire damage that you can do. Acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison are the typical.
That's what I'm getting. Or poison. There we go. Cool.
Thunder. Maybe it was the of thunder.
Yeah, I got fire,
Okay.
lightning, acid, cold, thunder, or poison.
Yeah.
And then
damage types, acid, cold,
for the
fire,
level
lightning, thunder.
13, we could call it the expert saboteur traps and make it a replacement one too. Keep these as the same and then just add more. I like that idea that Sean had of like the pulse grenade, the impulse grenade or whatever it's called. Where it just like sucks them in. Nice.
Okay. Beautiful. Ah, snippet can't fit it.
Too many characters.
Yep.
We wrote a novel.
Will be sold out in weeks.
Yeah, one copy. 3 weeks is pretty long to sell the one.
I knew that.
Oh, sorry.
Save changes. Alright, I think that's definitely enough for level 9.
Yeah.
So now, level 13. That ability, should that be a trap in and of itself that can be activated remotely, of being able to pull them in? Or should it be like an action that you do? Like a limited use ability separate from the components and whatnot. Of being able to pull people in. Because, yeah, we could just flavor it as another trap that you can remotely activate. I definitely think we should have that ability that you were talking about of smart traps. That should be a
Yeah.
level 13 ability.
Yep.
What if you said creature, what if you did it like Spirit Guardians, where it's like any creature, you choose which creatures it affects that you can see. So if I have
Well-
Spirit Guardians cast and I do it on someone that I can't see, then
Well, no, because the
can
main
still
thing
affect
is
them.
it's not you controlling the trap. It's you designed the trap to be even smarter and more advanced. So I feel like it's just basically if an ally is in the radius, then it just won't hit them.
No, I'm thinking more along the lines of I left a trap behind and got out of there, and someone activated it. Is it gonna know that they're my ally
I'm thinking it's
when I'm 500 feet away?
I'm thinking because you have to decide what trap you put down in the first place. So I'm thinking it's when you place the trap. It's like a glyph of warding almost. When you place the trap, you can designate. Don't affect these people. So it's when
Yeah,
you
so like
place.
Spirit Guardians.
Yes, but if you're far away from the trap and it activates, but someone you designate is still there.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's the same thing with Spirit Guardians. It's just, I think the wording. Here, let me look at the specific wording. Give me a sec.
It's just, yeah, it's literally just creatures you choose need to make the saving throw. Is all that does.
Let's see. Inventory. No spells. Spirit Guardians, where you be? Oh yeah, that's what it is. When you cast a spell, you can designate creatures to be unaffected by it. They changed the wording on it on the new one.
There we go. You can now choose what creatures your traps affects. When one of your traps has an area of effect, you can choose a number of creatures equal to your intelligence modifier to become immune to the effects of your traps.
I like that. To that trap.
Yeah, I should reword it, yeah. When prime a trap, you can use a number. You can choose a number of creatures equal to your intelligence modifier to become immune
to the effects of that trap.
Of that trap.
There you go. That way, it's not a blanket statement thing. You have to do it each time.
Yeah, and then red class level display order is going to be 7. That's granted.
Dude, that's gonna be so freaking busted with the slick one.
Yeah, but at
Awesome.
level 13.
No, yeah,
I know. Yeah, but it's like at level 13, like that's basically something that druids can do, really.
There you go. I might play a rogue again. All these subclasses we're making are so tempting.
Okay. So yeah, do we want that convergence thing to be level 13, or should that be part of this capstone ability?
And do we want it to be a trap or a separate ability?
Good question. I just looked up some fun trap ideas that were like kind of cool sounding.
Yeah.
They even have our gravity snare as like the same concept.
Like cast
Strength
levitation.
save or be pulled 10 feet toward the center and be knocked prone. But like there's like the flashbang trap, you know, everything in there can be blinded. Like a couch trap so that like anything that walks through it takes damage, kind of like the spikes.
Yeah.
There's some pretty cool stuff in here. Cause I wanted to broaden our idea.
Yeah, I definitely before. I think we should have it be a trap thing. So we could do maybe expert saboteur traps and just keep adding more traps and just have bigger repertoire.
Yeah, and then I don't think the 17th level ability should add more traps. I feel like you should, by level 13, you have all your traps.
Right.
Because that way more people are able to experience all of it.
Yeah.
17
we also
has
don't
the
want
ascended form of every trap.
Yeah, so we got...
Max level.
So yeah, so we've got, at level 3, Saboteur traps, level 9, Advanced Saboteur traps, and then at level 13...
Expert.
Master.
Master.
You have perfected your Saboteur... your Saboteur skills.
Well, what if we did it like this?
Create even more trap. Create even wider variety of traps. Feature type. Replacement of...
Well, here's the question. What if we only added more traps rather than making the existing ones even better at level 13? Just add more traps at level 13, and then at level 17, just make it so then it will automatically upcast the rather than using 2 components for it, it's like, oh, it will do the upgraded one, so the restrained one at the cost of 1.
No,
it will.
I don't think you should do that, because having it become cheaper and getting more uses of it seems a little bit overkill. Especially being able to restrain something 12 times.
One thing.
If
they fail at level 17.
Yeah, but still, nah. I don't think we should make it cheaper, because it's hard enough to keep track of it as is. Now changing the values that you've had for 17 levels prior.
Well, then what are we thinking for level 17?
Well, let's get level 13 done first. I have an idea, but let's get level 13 done first.
Well, because that's kind of what will determine it. Because
level 13, we get more traps. And that is where we get all our traps. And then
they're not going to increase more adding on stuff. Keep what it is and then just add more traps.
No. You're going to be able... I have an idea for level 17, but I want to hold on to it. Just trust me. It's something that is really strong, but really good for that level.
Can you just tell us?
It's
so
very
I can
simple.
Get on board with it?
Yes, you can set 2 traps instead of 1 using your bonus action.
Oh, I like that. See, I'm on board with that.
It's powerful and simple. This subclass is already super complicated, so...
I like that.
Yeah. So, while you guys... I'm gonna run to the restroom. You guys start coming up with, like, some more trap ideas. Once again, want probably 3 more traps. Because if we go more than that, it might get a little bit too complicated. So yeah, 3 more traps, and remember, we're level 13, so they can be... we can kind of start going a little bit crazy. I like the flashbang trap and the gravity trap that you were saying. So,
yeah, definitely the gravity one. I think that's a lot of interesting nuance. Be pulled 10 feet towards it.
But yeah, I'll be right back. I'm going to head to the bathroom.
How wide do you think we should make it?
All of it.
Because, like, if we're going to be pulling it 10 feet towards it, and should it be 10 feet, or should we do 15 feet? Because at this point, I think we are able to push people around 15 feet if we hit them with sneak attack.
Okay.
So we can already move 1 person 15 feet.
Yeah. So at least 15 feet.
Yeah.
I think would make sense.
So if we did then a 20-foot radius. Well, fireball is what? 20-foot radius, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So should it be... Because I use that a lot as my gauge of how big things should be. Should it be as big as a fireball, or smaller, or bigger than a fireball?
I think about the same size would make sense. I mean, they have to fail the saving throw, otherwise they don't get pulled in.
Right.
And it doesn't deal damage, so it's just a crowd control maneuver.
Yeah.
You can get a decent chunk of people.
I think it should cost at least 2 components, though, to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're moving it, and also that will let you pull everybody in to for the wizard to be able to go nuts with them too.
Yeah, it's got crazy potential.
So maybe even 3 components for that.
Mm.
Well, I don't know. 3 might be too much. 2 or 3. 20-foot radius. Maybe if it's a 15-foot one, then it is... if it's a 15-foot, then that should be 3. If it's a 10-foot... Actually, I think 15 might be too much. Since you're affecting everybody, I think 10-foot is a little more... reasonable, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Could see so.
And heck, even a 5-foot. If we did 5 foot, then I'd say make it cost 1. Or what if that was the upcast option? If you cast it out with 1 component, it will pull everyone within 5 feet. You can upcast it, and it will add extra feet based on how many components you use. No, that would be too cheap. Because then you could pull them the full 20 feet and have everyone in a perfect circle.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
Because then you're auto grouping everybody up. And at that point, too, you're able to not do it to your friends when you're able to do that as well. So that could get too cheap, too fast. I'm trying to think, like, big circle. Everyone goes 10 feet in.
Yeah. Just a certain amount bumping into each other. That's the plan. Sound.
15-foot radius. 15-foot radius. Move them 10 feet. Towards the center. Are there 20-foot 10 feet or 15-foot 10 feet? I'm trying to, because it's like, oh, by itself, it's like, yeah, but I'm also trying to think in conjunction with other things going on. And at that point, too, your spell save DC is going to be, if your intellect is 18, it would be 8 plus 5 plus 4. So that's a 17. You have to get at least a 17 if your intellect is 18.
Right?
Yeah, so that would be your spell save DC. Right? 8 plus 5 plus 4.
Sure. That means yes. Fear totem trap.
I do like the idea of that. Become frightened. And specifically, they are frightened of where the trap is, so they can't move towards the trap.
I have to, go away. There's some, interesting stuff in here. There's like one they had, the chain lash trap, like targets the nearest person. Like you could like reaction cast it, and it would target someone and pull them towards that trap location. It's a kind of a scary one, but it's a cool sounding one.
Yeah.
There's the darkness spell. Venom mist is like, having a mist, that hallucinogenic mist lets them either cast have fear or poison,
or charmed,
or confusion, charm, some sort of drug-based effect. Any of those conditions.
One. Yeah.
Have some potential there. There's like the one that like this has like a glowing powder or a magical paint, so it's kind of like casting fairy fire on something, so they can't go invisible, or you get advantage on them while they're glowing, and then like it goes away after a round or two.
All right. Yeah.
Interesting sounding, a little bit different than your traditional.
And it also lets your friends get advantage on it. I think we should do that instead of the blinded one. I think that's more interesting. Blinded will give them disadvantage and give your teammates advantage. But then it's like, if we're going to do the blinded, then I don't need to do the poisoned one, Because the poisoned one will give them disadvantage, but blinded is like the upgraded form of it,
Right.
And then you also got the obscure trap with it, too. So I think I like the idea of the fairy fire more, letting your friends get it. It's like, all right, for 2 turns or 3 turns, they are covered and they cannot benefit from invisibility.
You have to wash off or wait it out.
Yep. And yeah, just shorten the duration so then there's no saves. It's just an initial one, and if you fail, you have it unless you wash it off or uh, the time fades on it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that more than the blinded one.
Yeah. The caltrap mine's pretty interesting too. Like it's pretty straightforward and like reasonable.
You step through it. It's like walking through the what is it, the thorny growth or whatever,
Yeah.
thorny vines.
Thorny vines or whatever.
Uh-huh.
10-foot square, 1d4 piercing damage for every step, or higher because we're a higher level, but
Yeah.
something of that degree might be interesting. Good crowd control, AoE.
Right.
This one, magnet trap for metallic objects, pulling them all in. Weapons and stuff, like disarming your opponent. That would be cool.
That is a cool one. Yeah.
Then they have like these ideas of, you can use like at a higher level as a feature, maybe when you lay a trap down, you can have like a small minor illusion, like a trinket or something in like above it, a chest, your head. I don't know. To give
Right.
an allure for something to step on that trap. It's probably like outside of combat sort of thing, but there's an interesting
Illusion trap.
an illusion to sort of
Yeah. You do that one
guide
as
them
a
toward the
single
trap.
component.
It could be a level 13 feature or 12 feature. Ethereal spike trap penetrates through armor. That sounds scary.
Basically bypasses AC.
Yeah.
No, that's too much. Yeah, I definitely want the fairy fire one. Because I feel like the flash bomb is kind of like the expected route to go.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to go the unique route.
Yeah, it's similar with the cow traps. Like that's an expected in the realm of expected types of traps. Like there's
Right.
like
Well, and how does a regular cow traps work again?
it's pretty similar. You just have to go and throw them down on the floor somewhere, and they'll take damage to go through it.
Yeah, I would
It'll just
say
be a wider AOE or
because they because they already have the ability of using the regular cow traps with their DC. I think because they can do that, it's like, nah, if they want to, let them use the cow traps. It kind of encourages them to use the regular traps that are already in the game,
Right. This one seems kind of interesting too. It's like the mana drain trap or like counter spell trap, essentially. Placing it down, and if a certain spell goes through it or flies through its radius, you can use a reaction to sort of absorb or counterspell that trap, and then causing it to. So yeah, just kind of nullifying a spell with a trap as a sort of protection.
That's a good
Be
one.
Interesting.
And would you have to designate the type of spell, or probably just any spell? You just activate it as a reaction.
Yeah, it's like a spell slot. Like it just when something casts a spell. But there's some tinkering with that sort of thing for sure.
That one I would want to
Does it have
definitely
be
make
in it.
Yeah,
Or does the spell go through
it would either need limitations on it, on like the things that would trigger it, or if you made it more universal, just make it cost a lot.
Right. It's like they could, if they're in the field of that trap, they'd have to make like an intelligence saving throw when casting the spell. Otherwise, it would absorb that spell that was used.
Uh-huh.
Or something of that
Right.
nature.
So we were thinking, because there's kind of like some traps like everyone kind of expects to happen. So like for instance, a flash bomb is kind of an expected thing, being able to do the blinded condition, but having that blinded condition would then kind of limit or take away from you using the poison one and the smoke trap one.
True.
So instead, Sean had the idea of doing one similar to like Fairy Fire, where basically it explodes on them and they're covered in goop. They just make an initial save against it, no damage, but for like 2 or 3 turns, they have the effects of the fairy fire spell where they
Like a
can't benefit
glowing
from being
paint, a
invisible.
glowing effect.
Yeah, like a glowing paint. They can't benefit from being
Dust.
invisible or hidden, and they uh, creatures have advantage against them. So it's like
For
it's
like
an
a
either
round or
or
two.
thing, but yeah. And then probably for like 2 rounds, I would say. Uh,
Hmm.
for 2 rounds or something like that, and then it's like and then it will just fade. Or maybe 3. 2 rounds, 3 rounds, probably 2 rounds.
I think yeah.
Okay. Would it be an AoE or only one thing?
I'd probably do an AOE, maybe a small AOE.
Creatures
Just
within
a 5 foot.
feet. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
When
And it's probably a
This-
deck save.
trap is
Yeah,
activated,
dodging stuff.
all creatures within 5 feet
Marking trap or
Must-
glowing paint trap.
must
Mhm.
succeed
A marking
dexterity
dust or marking paint.
saving throw.
The marking trap.
Marking paint trap. Marking trap.
Marking paint trap must succeed a dexterity saving throw. Must succeed
Your arcane
a-
makes the paint glow.
yeah.
Right.
Or be
Covered
in
in
arcane paint.
paint.
Creatures
Or arcane paint for 2 turns.
arcane paint for
2
2
rounds.
turns. Two turns or 2 rounds?
I think rounds.
2 rounds. Yeah,
Yeah.
2 rounds.
It's the more used terminology. Creatures
Uh-huh.
covered in the arcane paint emit a slight glow, do not benefit from invisible condition and
Or
all-
hidden.
Hidden isn't a condition, really.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Conditions.
Let's see.
All
Isn't it?
attack rolls. Yeah, no, it's not. Because it's like, you can't hide from me. He's in another room. Of course he can.
And they get disadvantage on stealth checks. So you could just do that.
Yeah. Invisible condition. And cannot benefit from the invisible condition.
And creatures get
Disadvantage on stealth checks and attack rolls against them are rolled at advantage. Should it be 2 rounds, or hear me out? It could be a minute, but they can use their action to clear the paint off themselves.
Nah, I think just making a short-lived one is because most of the other ones last for a minute, so I think it'd be nice to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, but it gives a little bit of battlefield variety and kind of weighs a pro and con because
It's more like squishing a lightning bug. It glows for a second and then it fades away.
Like if they can wash themselves, for sure. If they have water they want to sacrifice with the action or something. Hop into a river. Which one should I keep?
But
trap can be activated with and can be remote activated. This trap can be remote activated using your reaction so long you are within 30 feet of the trap. That way, if
So they
they
don't
step
step on
within
it directly.
5 feet of it, yeah. Okay. I like that. 2 components. Does that sound good? For advantage on everything in a radius, 2 components seems pretty fair. Because it's not the strongest thing, but it is really good. Because, you know, Fairy Fire is a level 1 spell. But being able to do this as a bonus action, pretty darn good.
I think it's
Right.
fine as is.
Okay.
Well, it should be 2 rounds or 3 rounds. I think I like 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like 2.
The other one we were thinking about is doing kind of like a impulse grenade kind of a thing.
Yeah, there's the gravity one. The gravity beast.
Yeah, we're basically it pulls. We were thinking either like a 15-foot or 20-foot radius sphere, and it pulls creatures like 10 feet towards it.
Maybe you can push, pull or push. Depending on when you set the trap, you can have it blast a bunch of things away and spread them apart. If you need to clear an area.
That'd be cool.
Should we have the trap go off automatically though, so it's more like a grenade, or still activated when you want?
It's remote detonation.
Remote
or when
detonation.
somebody steps on it.
Now, the size is what we were trying to decide on, because a fireball is a 20-foot radius. I'm thinking a 15-foot radius and then 10 feet.
I like that.
Yeah. I think 15's a good radius.
And then have it be a strength saving throw.
Yeah, I was gonna say strength instead, so
Yep.
hitting something else.
And when this trap is activated, when you set this trap, choose either
Warlocks can do that with their Eldritch Blast. That's
Yeah,
what Marok
Yeah.
can do, and it's so fun to push
or pull.
Yeah.
Wait, when you do it, are those 2 separate things to push or pull, or is it under one?
I think they're separate.
They're separate
There's
ones.
repelling blast, and then the other.
And then the
another
pulling one.
Mhm. Eastfan.
I couldn't think of
I
the
hit him.
opposite of repulsion. It's attraction. I'm like, my brain just said, choose either repulsion or attraction.
Implosion.
Repulsion or implosion.
or repulsion.
Attraction.
That is activated.
Implosion.
Three,
Repulsion or implosion.
creatures within a 15-foot radius must succeed a strength saving throw or be pulled. Yeah, I like implosion more.
Yeah.
Be pulled, implosion.
And should it be 3 components? Because it's pretty powerful
Yeah.
in and of itself. Because it said that you're really setting up the wizard strong with that one. You know?
Pulled, implosion, or...
But if you're not with a wizard, it's 2 components.
Yeah. If you don't have a wizard friend, take pity. It only costs 2.
Yeah. Can be pulled, implosion, or pushed. Implosion. And beat toward or away from the front. And remotely activate this trap using your reaction so long as you within 30 feet. There we go.
One thing we should add to some of these traps, like especially the fog cloud one, is the fog cloud will go around corners. The gravity one will not go around corners.
Yeah.
You know, things like that.
With this, yeah. Let's see.
Because like lots of those spells and items will say this effect goes around corners.
Sphere.
Does Fireball say it?
It does not, which means you can get full cover from Fireball. Yeah, unless it specifically says it can go around corners, it does not.
Cool.
There we go. The smoke one.
Yeah. And the poison gas one.
Spreading around corners. There we go. Perfect. Right, we got the marking paint, the gravity pulse. Any others?
We had mentioned the idea of like an idea of another type of toxic mist, like kind of using a drug, hallucinogenics or things that might cause either confusion, stun, charm, fear.
Brian.
Not all of them, but like choosing something of that variety. That's an idea that we were thinking about for a little bit.
Give them the confusion. Give them the. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but that was just that was one that we did mention.
Hallucinogen trap.
Cognitive gas.
Something you can think. Staggerfield. That's
Hallucinogenic trap.
Oh, and then there was like the counterspell style of trap too, which was interesting
yeah.
in concept.
Yeah, we were thinking of doing like a potential like counterspell kind of thing where it could negate magical effects, but it would either need parameters, like very specific parameters to work, which then would you'd have to predict it out in niche scenario kind of stuff.
I was thinking like if they're in the range of that trap and they're casting a spell, then you can cause them to do their saving throw. Otherwise, the spell would just anything that spell was about to do could be trajected towards the trap, and the trap would then break or dismantle or whatever.
Right.
As an idea.
The other one is if we just had it just be straight up a counter spell, but just make it very expensive to use. There's another option.
For a spell to go through it, or a spell
right
in between you and the cast. But trying to think of some utility-based things, or
I think we should just call it hallucinogen trap.
Could just
that's what a hallucinogen does.
Just a literal fireball trap. And that's it.
Right.
Just an explosion.
Cognitive disruption trap.
Yeah, I think I like hallucinogen.
Okay.
Okay.
But if it's hallucinogen, does that mean if they're immune to charm, they're immune to this?
It kind of depends. Like, do we want to?
Well, it has different effects. Hallucinogens have you could.
But the thing is, what if a robot steps on this thing? If they're just immune to the effect that they roll, then they're just good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the bleed, like robots can't bleed.
Yeah.
Oh, fair
But
enough.
a
Fair enough.
hallucinogen just means it's messing with your senses.
Mm. So-
I instead of A. Yeah.
Would it be like? Do you think it should be like a? We determine like this is a fear-based one, or a charm-based one, or like a, or is it random effect? If they fail, you roll a dice, and it's one of these 4 effects or something.
I feel like roll
Depending
a D4.
on what they're hallucinating.
Yeah, roll a D4. And this trap is activated, and I feel like this should only affect one creature.
Yeah. Just a little pillar of stuff
And this
flying up
trap
in their
is
senses.
activated. Creature must succeed on a.
Yeah, a hallucinogen causes
It's probably a
hallucinations,
con
perception
save.
anomalies, other
Yeah,
situations.
the creature must succeed on a
Or
wisdom
wisdom.
saving
A con save or a wisdom
Throw.
save. Both would work.
or succumb to the or succumb
Oh,
to the
okay.
effects
It's
of
an
the
OGEN.
hallucinogen.
Yeah.
Effects of the hallucinogen. Roll a d4 to determine effect. On a 1, creature becomes confused. Where's the effects of the confusion spell?
Is it like it could be like the confused where it can't tell who's friend or foe kind of a
Yeah.
confusion? Or
On a
I'm pretty sure that's what confusion does.
no,
yeah,
Well,
can't remember what.
no.
does.
Confusion is roll a d8 to determine the effect.
Yeah, confusion has like a lot of random.
Yeah, isn't it a level 2
Effects.
spell?
no, it's much higher than that. The 4th level.
4th level?
But it's also 90-foot range, 10-foot sphere.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically, yeah, the creature uses all its movement to move in a random direction. Roll a d8 and is assigned to direction.
No, on a 1, they don't take an action. It uses
Yeah.
its movement to move.
On 2 to 6, the creature doesn't move or takes action. 7 to 8, the creature uses its action to make a melee attack against a randomly determined creature within its reach. If there's no creatures within its reach, the creature does nothing this turn. And then on a 9 to 10, the creature can act and move normally. So you kind of get a bunch of stuff with
We
it.
could just make it a trap of confusion. Just use that table, or we can modify it and do something like a different type of.
I feel like on a
status.
1, they get the confusion. On a 2, and then on a 2, they become frightened.
Yeah, 2 frightened. Which most creatures are
On a
immune
2,
to frightened at this level.
They become frightened of the nearest creature to them.
Even if it's not you.
Yeah, because
It
it's
could
just
be their
they
friend.
see anything.
The
Yeah.
first thing they see from after it, yeah.
Yeah, to the nearest creature to them.
I like that.
I could imagine like a paladin getting that, and then they're just like, "Conquer your fear," and they kill whatever that thing is. It's their ally.
Yeah.
Right.
What does a 3 get you?
It could be under the effects of hypnotic pattern.
Completely incapacitated? If we have that,
Awoken with damage.
yeah.
Like stunned.
They become stunned until someone either shakes them awake or they take damage.
They
Yeah,
maybe one of them.
incapacitated.
until they become incapacitated for 1 minute, or until they take damage, or another creature uses their action to shake them awake.
Yep.
And then on a 4, they become
It could be like Tasha's hideous
Frenzy.
laughter.
on a 4 they become frenzied and frenzied for 1 minute and will attack the closest and will move to and attack the closest creature they can see until the effect wears off.
I think that one needs to be modified a little bit. I like the idea, but it either needs to be shorter, or they need some. Well, I guess where the confusion already kind of touches into that a little bit.
Yeah. Let's give it something else entirely.
Some reworking for sure. I think the concept can be, and then we can play test or
on a
try
4
fine tuning.
Right.
Some other you can take it as a narcotic route too, where it's like they get sleep put on them, or but like that's not exactly a hallucinogenic, but it was
on a 4 they
just stunned.
Enter a state of euphoria for 1 minute and not take
all creatures are considered allies.
All creatures are
minute and all creatures are considered close allies, and they cannot take any hostile actions against any creature. This effect
unless they succeed on a
they enter a state of euphoria for 1 minute or until they take damage. So if they take damage, it snaps them out of it. But if you just leave them be, they'll be like, hey, buddy. So even if you're killing each other, you're just like, hey. Oh, nice.
I'm fighting, guys. Let's just have a drink.
There we go.
Watch that be the reason why combat ends and we're all like getting along now.
Yep.
Here's my question though with these. Should we add like the charmed condition, things like that? Because certain creatures should still be immune to being charmed, kind of a thing. So like on a 4, they are charmed and enter a state of euphoria. So then that way creatures that are immune against it can still be immune against it.
Yep, they are charmed and enter a state of euphoria for 1 minute or until they take damage. No creatures are considered close allies, and they cannot take any hostile actions against any creature.
The 3, I think that's fine because it's basically like casting sleep.
Yep, sleep or hypnotic pattern.
Because that one that doesn't count as charmed, does it?
Oh yeah.
Sleep does count as sleep and hypnotic pattern are counted as charmed.
So should we mention that still?
Yeah. On a 3, they become charmed and incapacitated for 1 minute or until
and are incapacitated.
And are incapacitated for 1 minute. There we go.
And then
one other option was, it was that leading towards the slightly narcotic, but like if essentially for a time they're affected by the slow spell, the slow condition, they're kind of more slow and groggy, or they can't quite, it's like brain fog in a way. It's kind of clouding their thoughts, so they can't act as swiftly. Just for like that's a pretty strong one. So a couple round, I don't know.
That
like
is a pretty good trap, but with these ones, we've got 10 traps. I think that's more than enough options. That get more complicated as level up. So
I thought we were still looking for one more for this trap.
Oh, one more. Oh, no, we got all 4. So roll a d4.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, let's see. So we got the confusion spell.
Confusion, frightened of the
Frightened.
nearest creature.
And then charmed and incapacitated.
And then
And
charmed
charmed and
and
state of
super
euphoria.
friendly.
I feel like those two are very similar to each other.
How?
Because there's like, yeah, he's incapacitated or he's a friend, but either way, like they're like. Then again, you could use that outside of combat.
Yeah, you can use it outside of combat. Getting
Maybe if you're
incapacitated
lucky.
means instant guaranteed crit.
True.
Versus this guy's friendly now for a minute.
Because you could use
They're-
that.
just because they're both charmed and alter their behavior doesn't mean that. I think they're very wildly different. One takes
Now,
them out of the fight.
the other
One of them just
question-
makes them friendly. They can still take actions and
Because-
stuff.
They are a master of the trap. Do we want them to be able to choose? Or what if?
No, because I feel like with this is you do the hallucinogen. It's just how their body reacts to it.
I was gonna say one that you could do for an extra 2 components, unless you choose which one.
Have it be a total of 6.
Yeah, you can either random or do it, because then that way you can. No, actually, I feel like that could. You could attempt to use that on the. Say we're at some guards and they're getting suspicious of us, and we need to get inside. I want to risk the hallucinogen trap on the guard, kind of a thing. But say, man, I really need it to roll a 4. I'm going to use 6 of my total components, which uses pretty much all of them. But hey, we got out of that hairy situation, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. Especially for like an out of combat thing, like
Yeah, you can
Come in real
spend
clutch.
an
Right.
extra
It's very
2
expensive, but very
components,
useful.
Total of 6 to choose the effect of the hallucinogen rather than rolling the D4. As much as I would like to add more traps, having 10 total is more than enough.
Yeah.
Because if we start adding too much, then it's gonna undervalue the wizard with their spells and stuff. If we can have them do a little bit of everything, it's gonna start stepping on the toes of other classes and subclasses. Because this is a ton of really cool stuff that you can do, both in
Right.
and out of combat.
Now, here's the other question. I don't know if I'm fully set on the gravity one, on it being a 15-foot, 10-foot. Should it be 15-foot, 10-foot, or should it be a 10-foot, 5-foot? Or... Because without playtesting it, I don't know what
Then
is
let's leave it and playtest it. Why change it before we playtest it?
Fair.
Yeah, we gotta
Yeah,
playtest
all of
it,
this
so-
is probably all the subclasses are probably going to change a bunch once play tested.
Yeah,
That's fair.
especially our older ones. Like, even just from Eric playing Dante, I tweaked so much of the Sky Dancer just for those first couple levels
Yeah.
to make it function better.
Mhm.
Okay. There we go. Oh, whoops. To replace is...
Advanced.
That's not an option.
Is that is true?
You could just leave it as that one then.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. There's our level 13. And then level 17. Very simple, very powerful.
You can place 2.
Yep. Oh, let me change this display order to number 8. successfully ordered 8. And then one other thing I need to change before I forget is in the arcane trap making. See, within 10 feet and are activated when a creature occupies the same space as the trap. Just need to add that so we know the ones that can't be remote detonated, that's how they activate.
Yeah. Which you can't throw it directly onto somebody.
You can, yep. But you can also push them in if you don't want to pick them up. Okay, and then, of course, we'll go like this. Edit. Then... let's see, what is the...
Trap Savant.
No, we already get... That's literally what the other thing is called. They let you use, like, the ball bearings and hunting traps with your DC.
Oh, okay. Do
Double or nothing. Nah, I'd save that for
you can
like, a
either put
gambling.
2 or none.
You can't put 1.
Speedy Fingers. Seems underwhelming for a level 17 name. Agile Traps.
Quick Sabotage.
Quick Sabotage. Agile Sabotage. Speedy Sabotage. Speedy Traps. Agile Traps. A name that... I'm trying to think of a name that would like... Man, this sounds cool, you know?
Not all the abilities have to be like that.
I know, it just wanted
I mean,
to.
literally, the level 20 fighter ability is called Extra Attack.
Wow! Extra attack.
Double it and give it to the next person.
It's a great name. Agile hands.
No, it's not. I would say focus on the hands and stuff because that sounds like a thief-based thing. It's just
Yeah.
Hello? Hi. What's up?
You're not muted.
You're not muted, Erica.
I'm not muted. Sorry, someone called me.
Optimized efficiency.
Optimize efficiency.
Efficient sabotage.
I like that. Efficient sabotage.
Very simple. Beginning at the 17th level, your efficiency is unmatched. When you prime a trap, you can choose to prime 2 traps instead of just 1.
I like it.
Beautiful. All right. Now, one other thing that we need to look at. When you prime a trap, can you put 2 traps in the same spot? Or should it be limited to only one trap per space?
1 trap per space.
Okay, let me add that then.
You can throw it in with a creature. Because I think that's what it specifically says.
Yeah. And are activated when a creature occupies the same space as the trap. There can... the space can be currently occupied by a creature when you place it, but there can only be 1 trap per space.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so let's go like this.
Because otherwise you could just go in and put all of your traps into a single doorway.
Yeah, and that would be way too overpowered.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. Okay, so let's go down the list of things. Actually, let me go like this. There's one other thing we got to change, just because the future ones don't fit, is the Saboteur traps, which is...
Or going around corners.
Yes. There we go. Is... And spread... But... Okay.
And the fog cloud.
The fog cloud is in at level 3.
Oh.
Yeah. Make traps to hinder your quests. Okay. Then I'm guessing you don't really need the actions for these, because you can just like kind of like using your channel divinity, you don't activate your warding flare on your character sheet, you activate the channel divinity and then you use that for warding flare. So I don't think we actually need these actions for them.
Other than if it goes into a thing, they have different save parameters.
Fair. Okay.
Which I say we could go in and
Trap,
edit that off
save
stream
time.
too.
Yeah, we can edit this later. Okay.
Alright, let's make sure we're not missing anything. And I really like the idea of this rogue, though. It looks like fun.
Okay. Let's go like this and see if it will let us make a character with it. So, we'll go like this. We can just leave all that there. Rogue. Add class. Okay.
Change your level.
Alright, level 3. And why is it not? not. Ah, I forget. It's using the old rogue subclass because, you know, came out
Oh yeah,
before.
2024.
So, is there a way we can update it to the 2024 version?
If not, you can also click the old rogue and check it there.
Yeah.
And then we could just copy it off camera.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Rogue. Class. Right, level 3. Roguish archetype. Saboteur. Okay, so we got this. So yeah, arcane trap making. Alright, arcane trap making. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you learn how to create and prime arcane traps to set across the battlefield. You gain proficiency in Tinker's tools if you don't have it already. You gain a number of arcane components equal to twice your proficiency bonus. You can spend these components to create and prime your Saboteur traps and regain all expended components on a long rest. As a bonus action, you can prime a trap and set it in a space you can see within 10 feet and 10 feet and are, I fixed that typo, and are activated when a creature occupies the same space as the trap. The space can be currently occupied by a creature when you place it, but there can only be one trap per space at a time. Unused traps can be recovered at no action cost so long as you move through the space it was set. If the trap requires a saving throw, the DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your intelligence modifier. To make a hidden trap, you must use your action to make a sleight of hand dexterity check, and creatures have to make an investigation check equal to or greater than your check to perceive it. You can decide what trap to prime when you use this ability, and can switch to a different trap if you recover an unused trap. See the traps table to see what traps you can set. Saboteur's Ambush. You know how to effectively strike the victims of your well-crafted traps. You gain sneak attack against creatures suffering from at least one effect from your traps. In position, starting at 3rd level, you can force creatures to move into your traps with on your own rather than relying purely on luck to activate your traps. When you deal sneak attack damage to a creature, you can force it to move 5 feet away in any direction you choose. This increases at 10 feet at level 9 and 15 feet at level 17. And then traps. When you use your arcane trap maker ability, choose which type of trap you set from the following. Snaring trap, 1 component. When a creature activates the trap by stepping on it, tendrils fire, shoot out, and attempt to wrap around it. If the creature is large or smaller, it must succeed on a dexterity saving throw against a trap save DC or be grappled. They remain grappled until they succeed on a strength check against your trap save DC, which it can take at the end of each of their turns. Shrapnel trap. When a creature activates this trap by stepping on it, the trap explodes into a spray of shrapnel and debris. The creature and all other creatures within a 5-foot radius must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 1d6 piercing damage and start bleeding for 1 minute. Bleeding creatures take 1d4 piercing damage at the start of each of their turns. Failures against subsequent shrapnel traps will add an extra 1d4 piercing damage at the start of each of their turns and resets the duration of the bleed. On a successful save against the initial explosion, the creatures take the 1d6 piercing damage only. Bleeding creatures can make Constitution saving throws at the end. Can make a Constitution saving throw at the end of each of their turns to remove 1d4 of bleeding damage from them, ending the effect when no more damage die remain. Spring trap, 1 component. When a creature activates this trap by stepping on it, they must make a dexterity saving throw or be a spring-loaded platform will launch them upwards a number of feet equal to 5 times the amount of sneak attack dice you have. The creature will incur fall damage and land prone. They will also move 5 feet horizontally, roll a d8 to determine which direction. And then poison gas trap, 1 component. When this trap is activated, all other creatures within 5 feet of the trap must make a Constitution saving throw or be poisoned for 1 minute. They can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of their turns. The gas can spread around corners. And let's level up to level 9. At level 9, we get Trap Savant and that is not appearing.
Yeah, it looks like it's not popping up.
Okay.
We might have to do just granted and then just do the
and just do the added traps.
And then in the level 3 version just say starting at level 9 you can also do this.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
yeah, okay, but we
So-
can edit that.
But the actual wording of it all is, it's mostly what we have to do is more like mechanical fixes as far as wording
Yep.
and
Yeah, wording and typos, but the core is there. And then Sean, this is what we have at level 17th. You get efficient sabotage. Beginning at 17th level, your efficiency is unmatched. When you prime a trap, you can choose to prime 2 traps instead of just 1. Simple,
Yeah, that's good.
really strong.
He's muy good.
I like it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we done did it.
What's some sauce?
Now we just got to go and do the nitty-gritty details to make it work on D&D Beyond.
Yep.
And then rather than
Beyond.
going in and like editing it like on this, I'm just gonna move it to the new rogue. Create
Yeah.
a new rogue subclass from scratch, and then edit all of that. 'Cause
Yeah.
we got to do the same for our previous ones too, like the the Oath of Knowledge Paladin, the Sky Dancer Fighter, all that stuff. But that
Yep.
was a lot of fun. I really like this. This is. I feel like we were cooking with this one.
It sounds like such a fun subclass too. Pushing people around, activating traps.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of the hallucinogen one.
Should we share what is most recent with the artwork?
That's the finished product.
Yes.
With the class ones, with the class artwork specifically, those are exclusive to our patrons. Only our patrons get to see the unreleased artwork for the classes and the official artwork for the books and stuff. It's different for the randomized monsters because that's kind of part of the randomized things, but this is going in Wayne's Guide to Rel and Dwell, so
You guys can look at it though.
Which I am, and I like him.
Mm-hmm.
where did you
She's
put
great.
it?
She's great. I put her in character
discussion.
discussions.
I love her.
I like the arcane look that you gave it. It's all glowy.
You asked
That's
for an
awesome.
effect, I gave it an effect.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Yay! I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
And just
I'd like to think that as with the book that we're making, because it's like kind of like Wayne's journals on it a little bit. It's Wayne and Cosmo working together, so Cosmo's sketching the things that they find in the
Oh.
journal.
if Cosmo was the one sketching, it would be in a very different style.
So yeah, it's Wayne drawing the pictures then himself, sketching it.
Hmm. Unless he hires someone else.
Well, I feel like if it's Wayne's journal, it basically explains the more stylized version of it rather than what other things do in that with the I guess the hyper realistic looking
Right.
things. And so I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And then we could also have like a little comment under each of the things of like, what's Wayne's little shower thought on this little thing, and you could just come up with a bunch of things, Andrew. Be funny.
Yes.
But anyway, that was a lot of fun. I really like how it turned out.
Yes.
So still got to go in and tweak some stuff, but that is all more clerical stuff. Nothing that is coming up with any new ideas. So we won't bore ya with that one. So thank you to everybody who tuned in, lurking or otherwise. That was a ton of fun. And of course, thank you to D4Fin and Brennan for your continued support. We love having you. You guys are at the Paragon tier. So you guys are the absolute best. Thank you for supporting us, and we deeply, deeply appreciate it. But I think that's going to be all from us. Thank you to Tabletop Audio for allowing us to use this background audio.
Yes.
Just really helps bring the stream to life.
So good.
And
So
we will see you all Next time, 2 weeks from now for this group, and on Wednesday for the oddities. If you want to, next episode, the oddities this Wednesday, gonna be a bit of a dungeon crawl. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to tune in. We'll start at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, like we always do, for every stream, and we will see you then. Thank you all. Love y'all. Fare thee well. Bye-bye.